I'm a Muslim woman.
Modesty is my choice, my freedom.
I have my own mind.
I have my own voice.
I invite you to listen and to look beyond.
I'm a Muslim woman.
When I think about why I wear the hijab, first and foremost, at its very core, the main reason is because we're instructed to do so in the Holy Quran. It's a Quranic teaching. It goes much beyond just, covering your head and an outer covering. It is your speech, the lowering of your gaze, and ultimately the purpose that it serves. Certainly in my case, the way I look at it, and the more I learnt about the Quranic teachings, and particularly how the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, explained this idea of the relationship between the body and the soul, and this idea that the body is the sort of mother of the soul, and your physical state has a huge impact and relation on your spiritual state. And this idea that I'm physically covered, it's not just covering for the sake of covering, it's a constant reminder to me throughout the day, whether I'm at work, I'm at university, it's a reminder to me that I am a Muslim woman. What I found a little bit challenging when I graduated university and I started my first job, so I was doing an internship, and it was obvious that I was a new graduate, and I was working amongst people who, senior professionals, and I struggled sometimes being able to explain and express this idea that I wear the hijab, but it's more than just a physical covering. So I do make an active effort and choice to, where possible, not socialise in a mixed environment, certainly where there's any alcohol being consumed. And I'm very fortunate and blessed, and I know not every Muslim woman is in this sort of situation, but I'm quite blessed in that I work in London, I work at a university that has such a diverse student body and encourages that diversity, so they are very accommodating.
I think it's good for people to get involved with team activities, and I think it's important for your career to get involved socially and meet people and network with people.
Yeah. It has to be a conscious thing, I think, when you start somewhere, that actually these are my do's and don'ts, and you discover that as you go on, but generally if that intention is there, that actually there's certain things I can do and I can't do, and you're clear about that from the offset, it makes it easier for everyone, because as I say, if you're not a Muslim woman, I wouldn't expect you, it's not a sensible expectation or reasonable to think you would know what I'm comfortable with socially or not. I think the responsibility does lie on the person wearing the hijab, and I felt it that to communicate that well enough in the beginning, that actually this is what I'm comfortable with, this is what I'm not.
And you do communicate that
and everyone's
very clearly.
Very accommodating and very supportive.
And I think not just supportive, I think they're also quite interested. Yeah. I think we were lucky, we've got so many different people in the department, not just the team, who will come in and ask you questions about it and actually take some information away, and then that's really important, because that then gets the information out to a wider group of people who maybe don't interact so much with people with headscarves on.
I think that's the most important thing. It's knowledge and dialogue. It's in your everyday life, people you already know, being comfortable enough on both sides, me making other people feel and vice versa comfortable enough to have those conversations, and they're not awkward and they don't feel confrontational at all. It's really nice to be able to hear that people have always had questions but never known someone who's worn the hijab well enough to ask them. So it's always quite nice when you feel that you can have those sort of conversations that help people understand. The hijab is something that I choose to do. I choose to do it. It's an informed decision. It's a free decision. It's something that I'm extremely proud of. And telling a woman that she's oppressed after she's freely chosen to do something, or this idea that they perhaps wear the hijab and are oppressed and are forced into doing so, and feminists take issue with it. I think feminists have always campaigned for women to be able to have a voice and make a free choice for themselves. And by campaigning against the hijab or the burqa bans we see in many different countries across Europe now, often it's the misconceptions and people's understanding of what led them to observe the hijab or why they observe it that often is the issue. That's the one thing I think I struggle with sometimes, is when I read about people who want to campaign against the hijab or any sort of negative sentiments or feelings against the hijab. Often those people feel as though they're empowering Muslim women by speaking up against the hijab, because this is something that they think imprisons Muslim women and that they need freeing from it, and that they're almost doing us a favour by doing that. But what they don't realise is you're taking away a very basic fundamental right that we have as women of faith to practice our religion. And if we choose freely to wear the hijab, we do not need liberating. Our liberation lies in that very fact that we are able to choose for ourselves what we do and do not wear.